Hey, what's going on, everybody? Hope that you're having a fantastic Friday or Saturday or Sunday or whenever you might be watching this. Hope you're having a awesome day. Uh, I am just excited to be doing this little live stream with you today. Got some cool stuff want to talk to you about, and of course, we'll get to your questions. We'll answer those as well. But why don't we go ahead and roll the intro? Love that. I love doing that. Listen, I've got like the premium, not really even premium. This is probably the most like cost effective way outside of the cameras to like run a live stream setup. Just running it through OBS. It's really cool. I love all the stuff that you can do with this type of stuff. Hey, I want to mention, first of all, my name is Sopak. If we have not met before, I'd make videos about making videos, taking photos, editing, and all that creative good stuff. So if we haven't met before, just want to say hi. If you get value out of this stream, why don't you go ahead and like the video and consider subscribing to the channel. Also, if you have any questions at all during the live stream, please make sure to drop them in the chat. Love answering your questions, love getting feedback, love just talking to you about the things that you actually want to hear. So if you're here, drop a question in the chat. Let me know where you're watching from. Like I said, it's a Friday, feeling really good about streaming today. Got a little bit of coffee, got my water, and I'm ready to go. And I've got another surprise for you too. Now, I'm not one to build up hype necessarily. I'm not a hype man, hype monster, hype beast. That's it, not a hype monster. But I've got something really special for you today. Something that we haven't had on a live stream in a very long time. I'm curious to know, what do you think is the surprise that we have? I am not a person to draw things out too much, so I'll just go ahead and let you see it. It is, wait, OBS. It is a second camera angle. Unbelievable. There we go. 2 camera angles. Everybody normally asks me about my live stream setup, so this is the simple setup. It's a little bit of a wide shot. But yeah, this is the new recording studio space. This is where I have to do all my stuff. I mentioned in the last live stream and in some other stuff recently, but we got a baby coming on the way, so I got kicked out of my office in favor of our new child yet to come. And so that's the new nursery, and dad gets to be out in the living room / kitchen. Got my nice couch. I have a fire over there too, but I just have that as an effect, just because I felt like it would be a good thing to discuss. Let's see here who's in the chat. Ada says hi. What's up, Ada? Good to see you. Very excited. Dabbing emojis with the YouTube logo. Love that. AS Wallets. Hi, bro. How are you? Hey, doing good. Hope everybody's doing well. Let me know where you're watching from here in the chat. Just always interested to see. We had people from like Korea. We had people from India in the last live stream. So I have no idea what time it is as you're watching this, but I appreciate you hanging out nonetheless. So a couple of things that I just wanted to mention here. Okay, we got AS from India. Appreciate that. Yeah, so I wanted to just talk through a little bit of this streaming setup and talk through a bit of what's going on here. We've got my computer. This is just my MacBook. We got more people joining in too. I see that. Appreciate you all joining here today. If you guys got questions, drop them in the chat. Be happy to answer them for you. We've got basically my Sony a7 III, which is behind this camera with a 20mm lens. That's giving this nice wide focal length. It's a 1.8 aperture, so gets that nice background blurred out a bit. And over here I got my A6300, and I'm just using these little tiny like $20 capture cards that are everywhere on Amazon. You might have seen one of my videos where I was talking about live streaming some time ago, and I'm literally just using two of these bad boys. They're like less than 20 bucks a piece, just feeding them over HDMI to each camera and then running it all through OBS. And so you can do some pretty cool stuff with it. Let's see. We got Pakistan mission unboxings here. Hey, doing well. Srinivas asking how you're doing. Yo, I'm doing very well today. It's a Friday, feeling really good. Got some coffee. I actually need to go get some more coffee because we ground the last of our beans today, and I need much more. I've been considering like bulk buying coffee beans and like doing like a lot of different cups of coffee and like spreading it out over like 2 months, but we'll see what happens there. All right, from India, man, we got a lot of people from India. Love that. So thankful for you. Glad that you're joining with. Hey, any questions that you have, anything photo related, video related, as far as even editing, please, I'd love to help you out today. So if you have any questions at all or something that, you just would like to give my opinion on, please drop it in the chat. All right, we do have a question from Ada asking, have you ever used any mobile applications for editing? I would appreciate it if you would make a video about phone editing apps. Are you referring to video, like phone editing for video? That would help clarify the question, because I have done a ton of videos as far as photo editing on your phone. I always recommend Lightroom. I've got a whole playlist for Lightroom and Lightroom Mobile. That's by far, I feel like, the best photo editing app on mobile, but there are other ones that are good from like Snapseed, Visco, bunch of other cool like applications that do filters and stuff. As far as editing for video on mobile, I've only really had experience with a couple of apps. I used so like if you have an iPhone, there's like iMovie and you could do some stuff with that. There was one that I used for a while. It was like Filmmaker Pro, and I think that was around 20 bucks to buy the app, and it did a pretty good job. There's another one that's been a really good one for a long time. That's Filmic, like the word film, IC Pro, Filmic Pro. I know that's another good one as well because it gives you some flexibility with your camera settings. Like on your phone, it'll allow you to adjust like shutter speed and your ISO and stuff manually. And then I think you edit within the app as well. Probably the best one that I've been hearing of like recently though in the past couple of years is LumaFusion. So if you're able to check that out, LumaFusion, I know a lot of people use it on their phones, they'll use it on tablets, and it's a really good way to splice your different videos together and, make something that looks nice and professional. I'm curious to know too, who here is doing all of their creating just on their phone? Like no computer, no camera, like standalone camera. Like if you're just using your phone to do all of your creating, please let me know in the chat. That was definitely where I was for a really long time. I was using, I think it was an iPhone 6. It was like a used iPhone 6 for a long time. And I would do little videos where I had like a little like GorillaPod type of thing. Like I'll show you. So, move this around. I'm using this to look at the chat right now. But I would have something like this with my phone. And then I had a little bit of a little Bluetooth remote. And so I could like trigger when things would record. And so I would like set up my shots and then I would hit record with the little remote and then I'd do whatever I was doing and then I'd go and do the next thing. I would do like, if you follow me for a while, I love coffee. So I would do like coffee videos and stuff with like just walking the dog, almost like mini like vlog style things. And I would post them to Instagram, not so much YouTube at the time. And this was at a time where Instagram had like just released stories, which is a really feels like forever ago. It's probably like 3 or 4 years ago. And so when Instagram released stories, I was doing that type of stuff. And you couldn't, here's the trick too. You couldn't even post like a full minute video. Like it had to be 15 seconds or less. And so there was other apps that you would have to use to like chop up your video into 15-second pieces. So like now you can just upload it to Instagram stories and it'll break it up itself. But it used to be much more labor intensive just to do simple videos on Instagram. So anyway, that was a little bit of a rabbit trail, but yeah, we got people who do iPhone and iPad. Yep. Um, cool. Okay. Oh, Deb's in the chat. What's up, Deb? Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Okay, and you got a gimbal for your phone recently? I'm curious to know, which one did you get? I've heard a lot of good stuff about like DJI. There's like the Osmo Mobile or like the Osmo Pocket. Or no, Pocket's the camera. Osmo Mobile, Zhiyun, Crane. Like those products are also really bomb too. All right, we got some more questions here in the chat. Okay, Shervinas is asking, hey, tell me about sharpening in Lightroom. So sharpening just, I mean, the name would kind of allude to what it does. Sharpening will add kind of like little bits of like separation and contrast to different parts of your image. So it is really, I find like you want to use it kind of sparingly depending on what you're shooting and depending on how in focus or out of focus your photo is. So if your subject is already in focus really well and that's the focal point of your photo, then it's maybe not as necessary to use sharpening. You can use a little bit, probably not a ton, because if you use too much sharpening it just starts to look really unnatural, I'll say. It just doesn't look quite right to the eye. If you're going for more of a natural style and like look. So that's one way to use sharpening. I have a video on Lightroom in like the filters in Lightroom where I explain how I use the filters. But one of the ways that I use a filter in Lightroom is I'll draw, like if I'm shooting a subject like a person, I'll like draw on the pupil of the eye with like a little brush, adjustment brush, and then I'll bump up the sharpening on the pupil of the eye. And it's kind of subtle, but it really helps to just make their eyes pop. And then it just makes it a little bit more professional looking, looks a little nicer. So I do use sharpening on images, but I don't do it to the extreme so much. So that would be my thoughts on the sharpening tool. And then if something's a little out of focus as well, you can use sharpening, but it's not going to, like, it'll do the best that it can to make it look like it's in focus, but I've never really had a lot of success trying to take an out of focus thing and then make it in focus by adding sharpening. There's also like the texture slider that helps somewhat too, but really you just want to get it in focus pretty much right off the bat. But that's a great question. Thank you for that. Ada is asking, do you have a job like Patreon or a website? So I do have a job. I don't have Patreon. I have a website, but it's mainly a landing page to, like, I think I've only got 3 things on my website. It takes you to my Instagram, takes you to my YouTube page or my channel, and then goes to my digital store. So as far as like, how do I make money? I have a normal job. I do graphic design and video work. I do that pretty much like 4 or 5 days a week. And then I'll do YouTube and different client work and stuff, just freelance style and just for fun. So I do that type of stuff. So I do make some money off of YouTube ads and stuff. It's not a lot. So I got that. I do some affiliate marketing too. So like any of the links, like if any of you clicked a link in the description, more than likely it's an affiliate link, which means if you bought a product through that link, it would just give me a little bit of money, but it wouldn't cost you any additional money. It just is a little way for me to, get a little extra kickback. So anyway, so if you're ever interested in checking out any of the stuff, it's like never any pressure, but just know that that's what happens. It doesn't charge you any more money. It just sends me like a small percentage back on that. But as far as like if anyone's ever curious and like, hey, how can I like help support? I mean, pretty much just like the digital store, buying presets and stuff. I've only got a couple of things right now. One's a free preset, and then I've got a preset pack, which if you are interested, there was like a bunch of codes that went out. It was like 100 codes. It's like the code 50OFF 50 off. So some of the codes have been used up. I think there was only 100 of them out there. So if you want to buy them, go ahead and get the preset pack 50% off. But I don't want to try to sell to you. So anyway, but thanks for asking. But yeah, don't have a Patreon. I don't know. I've thought about it, but it's not I don't want, yeah, just not right now at least. Maybe in the future, but I don't know, maybe not. Okie dokie. What else do we have here? We've got Liub. Hey bro, love your video from Australia. Appreciate it. What Sony picture profile do you recommend to shoot a typical talking head video for YouTube? Oh my gosh, there's a tongue twister for me. Picture profile. So like right now, I have picture profile off on this camera here, and I have a couple of like LUTs, kind of like filters sitting on top of everything. But one that I love for Sony, like if you have a newer camera, you might have access to S Cinetone. That's a pretty cool one because it gives you a nice natural look. But then if you want to manipulate your colors a little bit afterwards, you can definitely do that. The other one that I use, I'm going to check. Hopefully it doesn't cut my camera out here. So here, let me go to camera 2 actually. I want to check the other one that I like using. So this one, I want to be specific. So Gamma Cine 4, color mode, ITU 709 matrix, and then I'll do like -2 on the saturation, but you can also mess with your saturation later. But that's the one that I use typically for like all of my talking head videos, and then I can edit a little bit on top of it, but it gets nice kind of natural looking colors. So that's Cine 4 as the Gamma, ITU 709 matrix for the color mode. And then I don't really mess with anything else because the profiles are normally pretty solid. And the only other thing actually I do mess with is like the sharpening. Like I might take the sharpening down to like -3. Because too much sharpening in camera, again, just kind of looks a little unnatural. Ifrin, no sir, you are not late. Welcome, man. Good to see you. So that's answering that one there. Okay, so Deb's got the Zhiyun. I don't even know how to pronounce that. The Q3 for her stuff. Oh, she's got an A6400. Nice, very nice. Ahmad, what are some things that you should avoid while editing a photo for nature? I mean, it just kind of depends on what you're shooting. Like if you're shooting just landscapes, things to avoid maybe. Trying to think, like just removing any sort of like little distractions and stuff from the photo. So if you have a focal point, let's say it's a mountain off in the distance, or if it's a tree, if there's anything in the frame that's a little bit distracting, sometimes it's like road signs, or if it's people and you don't want them in the shot, or maybe it's like a tree limb that's fallen on the ground, something like that. You can use the spot removal tool inside of Lightroom, and it's pretty effective at removing objects, and then it covers it up and you like almost wouldn't even know the difference. I've talked a bit about the spot removal tool in that video I was mentioning earlier about the filters in Photoshop, as well as my product photography video, because that's kind of the main objective in some of those photos, is removing all the little distractions or things that would take away from the photo. So I would say that. I mean, color is totally subjective. Like, if you want to shift all of your greens to be cooler, you could totally do that. If you want to shift everything warmer to make it look a bit more like fall time, I don't know where you're at. I don't know exactly what you're shooting, but you could definitely shift the color around. Oh, one big one, and this really goes for all photography, but especially if you're shooting like nature or like landscapes, is make sure your horizon like line in your photos is actually, you know, flat, like it's level. I see too much of like, and I used to do this, and if I'm not paying attention, I'll still do it from time to time. If your horizon is like a little off kilter, it doesn't look super great. And it's normally one of the first signs that I find where it just doesn't, it's like, okay, this person may not be a complete professional just because everything is like off to the side. So definitely don't want all of that. So great question though. Keep them coming, everybody. I really love it. All right, what else do we have here? All right, how do you use the white balance tool in Lightroom Mobile? And don't feel sorry about me explaining it. So using the white balance tool, there's a couple of ways. So the name would suggest, obviously, it's balancing for whatever is white in your image. So you're like, let's say you had I don't have anything white around me except this chair, maybe. Like, let's say I was shooting this scene here and I wanted to get everything nice and balanced. You could use a little color dropper or like an eyedropper, and you could like put it on the chair, and then it'll balance the image for the white. So that's what it's doing. And so the way that you would balance that stuff is with color temperature. So like, I even have a light right now. I can actually show you. I have this light. It's color balanced to 5600 Kelvin because that's how light is measured as far as color goes, is by Kelvin. And so I can balance to 5600 because that's what this light is doing, is 5600 Kelvin. So you can use a slider to adjust the color temperature of everything, as well as the tint, like between magenta and green. So it'll kind of drastically change the look of whatever you're shooting. Now, sometimes, like, if you want it to have a warmer look, maybe you had your white balance set, your white balance wasn't set properly in your camera, and you took a photo outside on a sunny day, but yet it looked blue. You could adjust that inside of whatever it is, like Lightroom or whatever sort of photo editor. Just shift that over to more of a warm tone. Or if you feel like, sometimes I'll have a proper white balance, but I'm like, I still want it to be a little bit warmer, or I've got some other lighting in the area and I want to adjust it to be cooler, I'll do that to correct it. You can do auto white balance. That'll, I'd say, most of the time work, depending on where you're at. But you should also be mindful of like how you set your stuff. Like, because I'll set, like on my camera right now, I have a custom white balance set. But if I adjusted it, sorry, I'm going to adjust this right here. So I could cycle through different like white balances. Like, this is not right, obviously. But then you can shift it around and get some different looks. So anyway, white balance. Very, very important, especially, so I know that was a photo question. Very important for video too, because it's easier to fix in photography, especially if you're shooting raw. For video, if you're like way off, then when you go to edit and you want to change that, depending on how you're shooting, it'll just make your image look not so great. So try to nail it the first time if you can. All right. Cool. Hey, drop your questions, whatever you got. Happy to answer them. Had a lot of great questions here so far. Shervanis is asking again, what's your job? Yeah, so I do mostly graphic design and video work here, and love it. So I do a lot of stuff in Photoshop and a lot of video editing in Final Cut. That's my video editor of choice. There's actually one thing I'm in the process of working on a video right now, how to get like more depth, more blurry background in your photos. So one of the things that I kind of discovered through the process is Photoshop has something called neural filters. And if you follow me on Instagram, I was talking about this yesterday, but they have this thing called like it's like depth blur, and it basically will fake or artificially put in like a blurry background into your photos, which is really definitely an interesting approach to editing. Some people think that, it's like cheating to do that type of stuff, but personally I kind of feel like it's, hey, if you need it for the shot, then you got to do what you got to do to get it. So I'm gonna take a sip here of some water. Switch to our lovely second camera angle. Super nice. I gotta make some more coffee here. I'm like running low. All right. I've actually been doing a lot of coffee photography this past week and a half. Mainly just like here in this little space, just because the way that the sun comes in and hits the lighting in here, just it's all so nice. Oh, so nice. I want to just double check, make sure I didn't miss any questions here in the chat. Ahmad's asking Lightroom or Snapseed. The answer is whatever works best for you, honestly. I prefer Lightroom just because I do, and I use a lot of Adobe stuff, like Adobe products, so it carries over into like a desktop as well. And but I know a lot of people who would use Snapseed, like I said, that or like Visco. All good apps. I just think whatever works for you, just use that. There's no like right or wrong way to do it. As long as it helps you to get the outcome that you're looking for, then that's what you should be using. It's kind of like the same thing with like when people ask, oh, what do you edit your videos in? Or like, what's your video editor of choice? And I use Final Cut. Not everybody likes Final Cut, and that's fine. A lot of people use Premiere. I don't really like Premiere from a use case. Like for me using it, I don't feel like it's easy to use. I don't feel like it's super reliable. I feel like it's pretty slow sometimes. And then there's people who use like DaVinci Resolve, which is kind of like a blending between like Premiere and Final Cut with like a lot of stuff that you can do on the coloring side. And so some people like that, but ultimately it's like, hey, if you're happy with the outcome and your program helps you to pull it off, then that's what you need to use. On the topic of blur, what is your favorite aperture setting for talking head videos? So it depends on the lens that I'm using. Mostly I'm using this lens here, which is a 20 millimeter f1.8 lens, and I'm shooting it on a full frame camera. And you can see I'm pretty close. I'm like not even an arm's length away from the camera, and I'm shooting it at f1.8, and I shoot most of my videos at f1.8. But so you'll see here, get a nice little bit of depth here. First of all, it makes the space look bigger, which is cool. Really helps out. It helped out a lot when I was shooting in my other room over there. because it's such a small room. So it helps to create a little bit more space. And then with the 1.8, yeah, it produces this nice bit of blur. If I got even closer, like if I was this close to the camera, like if you get closer to the camera, like to the focusing of the camera, it'll blur out things more. I think this is a healthy amount right here. If I was too much closer, it might be too much blur for my taste. But if you have a lens that does like 1.8, why not? Or 2.8 is also really good too. Like once you get to f4, a lot of things kind of start getting into focus. So maybe not the best. In fact, I want to see what it looks like. So I'm going to go ahead and switch here. I'm going to go to f4 on my lens here. And where am I at? Something like this, maybe. So now this is f4, which again, it's not terrible. It's just more things are in focus now in the background. So I'm not really sticking out so much. And I got all this light spill happening because that's how my setting or my setup is right now. But like this plant's now in focus and those plants are in focus, and I've got my little diffuser thing over here. I was hoping would put out some more vibes, but it doesn't really. It doesn't really do it at all. So I'm gonna go ahead and switch this back to setting. I think this is where we were. Cool, much better. All right. Deb, I recently ordered a 35mm 1.4 lens from China. Very nice. Yeah, that'll be really cool, especially on the A64. That would be, because it's a crop sensor, it'd be like a 50mm lens. That's a pretty nice setup too. And 1.4 is going to give you a nice like depth. So that's really great. I use the Sigma 16mm and use it at its lowest 1.4 setting. Creates a great blur in the background, but makes the footage super bright. I need to turn my lights down. Yeah, maybe I need to turn my lights down. Yeah, that's what I would suggest. Like I'm only using my light at like my current light. This is at like 20%, something like that, like 20%. And obviously I'm lit up well. Like my settings, and it's probably different depending on your lighting and what you got, but my shutter speed is 1/50 because I'm doing 24 frames. F1.8, ISO 200, and that's the look that I'm getting here. So yeah, I think the light is only at like 15 or 20%, if that. So turning down the lights would definitely help. And what else could you do? Yeah, I would just try first turning down the lights, and then you could maybe bump up the aperture a little bit. You know, even like f2 is not too bad, but f1.4 is pretty bomb. Yeah, good. Any other questions, people? Let me know here in the chat on this beautiful Friday. I can't thank you enough for joining. I'm curious to know where do you guys get your music for your videos? I get them from Stroundsipe. Oh my gosh, I'm talking out of place. I get my stuff from Soundstripe. I get my music from Soundstripe. I do all my little text animations from Motion VFX. Shernvas, what is your name? You know my name, man. It's literally everything out there right now. My name is out there. Yeah. So this Friday, hey, some cool things that I'm doing that you may or may not see if you follow me on Instagram. I've been doing some stuff for this company called Fish Skin, and they do like these little laptop skins, which are pretty cool. So these would go on like your MacBook, and they're basically a sticker, just like a protective sticker that goes onto your MacBook. So I gotta do some of this today, shooting some product photography. Bunch of cool stuff. Fun. Yeah, right? So, love those. I did a photo shoot with them probably a month ago, and had a really good time doing that. Really kind of forced me out of my creative rut, which is really good. And yeah, so this and as I mentioned earlier, I got a baby coming soon in the next eight-ish, 7 or 8 weeks, which is absolutely crazy. So I'm gonna be working on some videos here so that I can schedule them out ahead of time, start recording them, and hopefully get everything produced, so that way I can slowly roll out videos while we're adjusting to life with a baby. So just wanted to give a heads up for that stuff. Win Lin, I want to know what your favorite photographers are, or who your favorite photographers are, and I want to follow more photographers on Instagram. Couple of my favorites are Joe Greer. He does a lot of film photography. He's really bomb. There is India Earl. She's like a wedding photographer. Love the way that she does her photo style is just so bomb. Brandon Wolfels is another one. He's got a very unique style, a very unique editing style as well. Who else do we have? I'm just trying to think of the ones on my mind. I have a friend from Poland. I want to get his name right because he's really, really great. And I got to meet him some time ago while in Poland. If you look up, it's JESTEMMATICH. That's the best way I could give it to you there. He's really awesome. Super cool kid from Poland. I got to meet him back in the day when I was doing work and getting to travel for work, which is a ton of fun. Oh yeah, Peter McKinnon, of course. Bomb. All right. Hey, what's up, history? So what I like the key light that you use. How would you compare it to the Godox SLW60 connected to a huge softbox? And I use Epidemic Sound. Super cool. I used to use Epidemic Sound a lot too back in the day. Really good stuff on there. So for my key light, the reason why I like this key light more than than a setup with a softbox is because it's so compact. So it's like literally I've got a couple batteries on it and I got the cable hanging off of it, but I don't even need the cable. But the reason why it's so portable, it's like really thin. It's already got this like frosted diffusion stuff on it, so I'm not using a softbox or anything. Sometimes I'll throw on an additional one just because I can, but it's not really necessary, especially if you're operating with the light not like super super bright. You can get a nice softer look like what I'm working with here. And so I think if you already have a good light like that, like your SL60, and you have a softbox, then you're probably already set. I don't think you may not need to upgrade at all, unless you're like, hey, space is becoming an issue where I'm at. Then potentially something like this could help. So this is a Photodiox Flapjack. I probably have it linked down below in the description, but there's other options too. There's like a newer, like in the brand newer, like in EEWER. They have a version of this type of light too. And it's cool because like the LEDs like shoot in like from the ring, like they shoot into the center and then they are diffused and then that's what comes out. So that's a good light. But the main reason I got it is because I have a friend who had one who raved about it. I had used it when I was shooting with him for a time and I wanted a nice key light and I wanted something that didn't take up a ton of space. So there you go. Hopefully that helps. Um, Fantastic. Crypto is doing good. Sorry, just got an update on some of my crypto. Okay, Carter Fitzgerald, what's the best way to get new clients? Um, just try to get out there, put a portfolio together, um, do what you can to network, and just put yourself out there. If you're wanting to do, like, especially for stuff like in your area, it would depend on what your focus is. What's the thing that you do? I don't know if you're a photographer, if you're a videographer, if you want to do weddings, if you want to do portrait sessions, if you want to do product photography. There's a lot of different ways that you can approach it, but mostly get your work out there, get a nice website together, put a portfolio, so that way you can show your work, show the people like the value that you bring. And for me personally, I always try to make it more about the relationship and the experience as opposed to like the product. The product's kind of like, um, for me, I feel like it's a little secondary sometimes. It's like I just want to make sure that I'm helping add value to people. With that said, I'm not an expert at this. I've just been doing a lot of stuff for myself, and then like word of mouth, or people see what I do on Instagram, they'll reach out, and then we just kind of build the relationship that way. So a lot of different ways to go about it, but ultimately you got to have some work to show and put it out there so that way people can see what you do. And if that's something that they feel like they would want to pay you for your services in order to do something for them. Zach, please tell me how you get such high quality videos on 4 GB of RAM PC. So 4 gigs. It's not a lot. It's not a lot. And on a PC. So I'm not a PC editor. I'm sorry. I don't know if I can help like immensely in that. But to get high quality videos, so I mean, there's a few things like people would think like, oh, you have to shoot 4K, or you have to do 10-bit color, or you have to do blah, 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 blah. Not necessarily the case. In fact, if you're uploading videos to YouTube and like all you can really handle is 1080, which if you only have 4 gigs of RAM on your machine, you may just want to stick to like shooting 1080 video, potentially, maybe, not sure, but maybe worth trying out. When you're shooting your videos, make sure your lighting is good, because the better your lighting is, the better your videos will look, the better your photos will look. Lighting is like the bomb. Lighting is the best. So make sure your lighting is good. As far as your editing goes, sometimes less is more. So maybe not taking things totally extreme and making it a Hollywood style of color grading. But if you're doing stuff like that and that's your end goal, then take it to the limits there. But yeah, I'm just trying to think of different ways to optimize that. I'm thinking more of like for speed, but maybe try like shoot a video in 1080 and then upload it, or like edit it as a 4K video and then upload it. See if that does better with your quality. I heard a lot of people were doing that for quite some time. Like they'd shoot 1080, upscale it to 4K, upload it to YouTube, and like they couldn't tell the difference between a video that was shot in 4K versus a video that was shot in 1080 and uploaded as if it was 4K. But ultimately, yeah, lighting is everything really. And then for video, it's high quality video is good visual, and it's also good audio. So make sure that you have at least a somewhat decent mic to use for your audio if you're talking. The one that I'm using, this is the Rode Video Micro. It's like $60. It's the one I would recommend to pretty much anybody who's getting started. Also, Deity, the brand Deity, just came out with a new competitor to this mic, and it's like $50. So it's like $10 cheaper, and it can do a couple of other really cool things. So that might be worth looking into as well for your audio. And yeah, so just trying a bunch of stuff. Just try more, try a bunch of things. I So like if I look at my old videos, I don't like the lighting. Like I had the except maybe like one or two, but like the white balance was off and I didn't have like a standalone light. I was using window light for some things, which is totally possible, totally doable, but it just was not the best. So anyway, that's a long rant to say try a bunch of different stuff, but if you have 4 gigs of RAM on your PC, it just might take a while for it to run. Naresh, hey dude, new here. Nice to meet you. Glad you're here. And what else do we have here? I have a gaming PC, but never used it for editing. Does it make any big difference if you use mobile phone or PC for editing? Well, if you have a gaming PC, that means you probably have a pretty bomb graphics card. So I think that if I'm not mistaken, Premiere really benefits more from graphics cards. I think. Man, I don't know. Or did they switch it to like that or RAM? Um, I I mean, it depends on your phone, depends on your PC that you have. I would try editing on the PC, and um, in theory, it would be a more powerful machine to pull off some video editing. And if you want to use a free program, you can use DaVinci Resolve. Like they have a paid version of it, but they give you the free version, which does mostly everything inside of DaVinci. And I think the only thing is that there's like a system requirement of 16 gigs of RAM. So if you don't have 16 gigs of RAM, it may not work for you. Um, okay, Leah wants to know what crypto do you own? ETH to the moon. I've only recently gotten into crypto, and I don't want to derail all this too much, but ones I'm into are Ethereum. I've got ADA, Solana, and a little bit of Bitcoin and some Chainlink. That's what I'm in right now. So what else do we have here? Lighting. Thank you for all the hearts on the lighting. Tell me about 3D photo editing in Android mobile. I don't know anything about Android. I'm sorry. I don't own Android. I don't own PC. I'm Apple all the way, both phone and computer. So unfortunately, I can't help you out. But if anybody else has any suggestions on how to do any 3D photo editing, hit this man up. It sounds fun. Sounds like a lot of fun. I've never done the 3D stuff. A lot of people have been messing around with like parallax types of things. Like you could do parallax editing, like where the subject in the background kind of like move. Let's see, history. I'm gonna buy a laptop for editing under $900. What do you prefer? Let me see here. I'm gonna actually switch over to this. So again, I am 100% an Apple person. So if you're not, I'm gonna just go here. But if you're not into Apple, then this doesn't help you at all. But I have heard a ton of people having really good experiences with the new M1 MacBook Air. So, and you can get the 8-core and 7-core GPU for $999. I've heard that there's a lot of benefit to upgrading this one. It's only $250 more to get the 8 and the 8. I heard that that's like it's like worthwhile to make the jump. So that would probably be my suggestion, or maybe just waiting a little bit longer, save up your money a little bit more if you can, and then upgrade to that. The one that I currently use for my videos, which handles 4K editing really well, and everything, is the 13-inch MacBook here. Now, apparently they're going to be releasing new stuff towards the end of the year, but this is what I have. And what else do we have here? So I've got a 13-inch, the one that I have, I spec'd it out as much as I could. Basically, I've got 16 gigs of RAM, and um, it's like unified. It's like the RAM and the graphics are like integrated. So it's 16 gigs of that, and then a 1 terabyte hard drive. So, however, if you don't know the trick, and if you're looking to buy some Apple products, they do have a refurbished section on their website. They kind of like hide it, but here you can get some pretty good deals. Really? Okay. So if you have a monitor, uh, these Mac Minis, the M1 Mac Minis, are really great. That's another thing too. I keep forgetting about that. Um, but you're looking for a laptop, so maybe this won't work. But the M1 Mac Minis, they're really really bomb. Let's see. Do they have M1? Yeah, so they've got some M1 MacBook Pros that are refurbished, MacBook Airs. That's Intel though. Let me take this off. Yeah, M1 MacBook Airs. And if you're wondering about like refurbished products, basically they're returned products. Apple will fix it. They'll repackage it, like it when you get it, it's basically like you're getting a brand new product. My wife, she had bought a iPad Pro some time ago, and it was a refurbished iPad Pro, and it's like you would not know that it's a used product, um, like just by looking at it, by using it, no issues with it whatsoever, and saves you some money. So maybe something worth considering there is going refurbished. And again, if you're looking for anything PC, I'm not the person to ask. Sorry. Um, all right. Can you use DaVinci Resolve on a 4 gig PC? You can try. I don't think it'll let you because it has system requirements, I believe, for 16 gigs of RAM. But you can go to it's Blackmagic makes DaVinci. So if you go to their website, it's a free download. So you can go check it out there. Reynard, great question. Do you think expensive gear matters? Um, I don't think expensive gear matters. Now, so there's this whole thing of like gear doesn't matter, which kinda, but I've also heard like gear doesn't matter, but it definitely helps. And I think that's more of an accurate way of saying it because if you have nicer gear, then it'll just help you get a nicer look. It'll help you operate faster. It'll give you higher quality. But there is such a thing as the law of diminishing return. So, yeah, I think it's the law of diminishing return. Basically, to say, you'll spend however much on a camera. Let's say you spend 700, 800 bucks on a camera, and then you could upgrade that camera to a $2,000 or $3,000 camera, and maybe it'll make a decent jump. But there comes a point where the more like the nicer the thing you buy, it's going to give you a lower amount of like return and quality. So like jumping from your phone to a real deal like full frame mirrorless camera or something, that'll be a huge leap. But then beyond that, it's like, oh well, now I need a cinema camera, or now I need whatever. It's like you're just not like, you'll get some good return on it, but it's not this crazy like high jump in quality. It's like, people can do a lot of different things, and like people would be fooled sometimes by what people are using. Like I've seen some iPhone photography, and I thought it was like a real camera. Like, and I say real, but like, it's like a solid like real camera and lens, like, one you can hold in your hand standalone, not a camera on your phone. So like I think the technology is getting better and better nowadays. So like the always constantly upgrading is maybe not so necessary. Like my camera is 3 years old. I bought it used, but it's great. Even this one over here, I bought this used. Definitely has its quirks. but it's still great. Um, this light is not the nicest light. This microphone is not the nicest microphone by any stretch of the imagination, and it gets a good sound. Now, I've had desires like I want to upgrade this. I think that would be really cool to upgrade it. Might make my life a little easier, might make things sound a little better, look a little better, whatever. But it's not worth it to me at this point to do that because I don't feel like it's worth the investment. Like what I'm going to get in return is not necessarily worth paying the amount of money right now to do it. So that's kind of like my thoughts on like gear and expensive gear. I mean, in like nobody really starts with expensive gear anyway. Like people start with what you have, and I feel like those in those situations, like I found that I even thinking back on some of the stuff when I was talking earlier in the stream of like just having my iPhone 6 and like a Bluetooth remote camera and a little Gorilla Pod. I feel like that forced me into more creative, like a more creative approach in my content creation because I was so limited with what I had. And I think like we get this thing in our head that we want to just constantly upgrade and upgrade and get the better thing because then that'll make us a better videographer, that'll make us a better photographer, which if you just learn the technique and you learn how to apply this no matter what camera you have, no matter what, you know, lens, no matter what your setup is, and you can make the most of it, that's the stuff that really matters the most. So anyway, that's a little bit of my rant there for you on that. So does gear matter? Yes. Like it's not the most important thing. It does matter, like, but it kind of doesn't, but it definitely helps. So that's not quite as catchy. Maybe we'll put that on a t-shirt one of these days. I see Ben Johnson's in the house. What's up, Ben? Hey, you guys, if for all of you that are here, go right now, subscribe to Ben Johnson, subscribe to his channel. He's almost at 100,000 subscribers. So tell your friends, tell your kids, tell your wife, create separate accounts just so you can subscribe to his channel. Let's get Ben to 100,000. Super stoked for Ben. Love you, dude. Oh yeah, passion plus limitation equals innovation. That's the truth. Take what you got, apply your passion to it, and you'll begin to innovate and make some really dope stuff. Okay. Next question here. All right, which is the best? Which all is the best for editor other than Lightroom? By the way, can you also tell me if there's a way to get Photoshop and Lightroom on PC for free? No, there is no free ride anymore. Back in the day, and my friend Ben can attest to this, because I actually think I got some of this stuff from him. There used to be like free stuff. There used to be like free versions of Adobe Photoshop and Lightroom and all that, but no longer. You got to pay for it. Sorry, that's just how it is. Alternatives, I think there's some free ones. I haven't really looked into them too much, but you know, they are out there. Check out Deb. Wow, thank you, Deb, for coffee. And you're going out for a night shoot. See you next time, Deb. Have a fun time on your night shoot. Hope that you get some epic stuff. Have some fun, and you know what? I will go get some coffee after this because we're out of beans. So I'm gonna use that. Thank you so much. Super generous. Absolutely love it. Love you too, Ben. You're the man. Okay, so yeah, no free ride anymore. No free Lightroom. No free Photoshop. I'm sorry. There are some alternatives that are like web browser specific, but I haven't used them because I'm all in on Adobe. Winland, do you plan on making more vlogs? Probably not travel vlogs because COVID, but maybe a daily vlog. I'd love to see the chaotic life of you with a newborn baby. You know what? We will probably have to do some of that for sure. Getting into vlogging, like I love the idea of vlogging. It's just yeah, it's like I also like my videos to have a little bit more of a like pointed purpose behind them. Like so I did like zoom lens versus prime lens video, and that would probably be like the kind of closest I might get to vlogging, at least right now. You know what, too, though? One of my favorite videos I've made was a vlog that I did at the beginning of the year when my wife and I went up to Big Sur, California. So if you haven't checked that one out, that's a fun video. I made that one mostly for me and like for her. It wasn't like, oh, I hope that this video gets a ton of views, because I don't really feel like I'm specifically a vlogging channel, but we'll definitely have splashes of vlogging here and there. And no doubt you'll be seeing tons of stuff about my adorable baby when she is born. Yeah, chaotic life with a kid. Yeah, I don't even know. We're gonna have a good time with it though. I'm super stoked to be a dad, so I'm looking forward to that one. What else do we have here? Check Reddit. Check Reddit for free. Hey, good with you, man. If you can get some free Photoshop, Lightroom off of Reddit, why not? I'll also mention too, like if you want more like vlog style content, I'm not always posting on Instagram, but I'm trying to post more on Instagram. If you ever want to reach out to me, do it through Instagram. That's the best way to do it. And then I'll post more of like some more like behind the scenes type stuff, or loads of photos of coffee, more than likely, because I'm a coffee nut, and Instagram is the best way to reach out. Someone's asking, have you ever used Pixelmator Pro for photo and thumbnail editing? I have not. No, like I said, I'm all in on like Photoshop, Lightroom, because I use that stuff mostly for work anyway. When I'm doing photography, when I'm doing graphic design, I'm in Photoshop, and then sometimes that stuff will carry over. When I'm making thumbnails, I'm making my thumbnails inside of Photoshop, because I feel like it's just the best, and I'm very comfortable with masking and text effects and stuff like that. So that's typically what I use. Now, not everybody's got access, or they don't want to pay the money to Photoshop. I know a ton of people use Canva. I used Canva for some time when I was starting to get into graphic design, and it allows you to do some pretty like decent effects, and adding text and adding elements, different things like that. Canva is a good starting point. But if you've got other apps that work for you, then by all means, go for it. Drop it in the chat. Let other people know about it. Yes, Ben, we're stoked too. Super freaking stoked. We are just weeks away, and it's wild. It doesn't even feel real, to be honest. Let's see, we got here. Make a vid about what's in your camera backpack 2021. I actually have made one of these already for this year. So if you're interested, it is on the channel. And that is what's up to date. I haven't added any new stuff yet this year to the bag. So for work, we got a Sony a7S III, which is... So it's such a bomb camera. Like it really is. Like I've enjoyed shooting with it. 4K, 10-bit, like the dynamic range, everything about that camera is amazing. And then of course, like the little flip out screen for all of my Sony friends who don't have a flip screen. That camera is so bomb, and I've been wanting to justify a purchase of that camera for myself, but I'm just not making enough video content right now, and I'm not making enough money off of video content to really justify it. So, but that is a conversation I've definitely had with my wife, like multiple times. I'm like, yo, this camera is bomb. I need this. I need it, right? Because like gear, we need gear. Goes back to that whole other conversation, but then, I had to talk myself out of it. But yeah, until then, I'll... Oh no, my camera died over there. Okay, I was gonna go to the camera angle, but it died because it uses these tiny little batteries that don't work worth a hoot. But yeah, so anyway, all that to say, you can watch that video and you'll get an accurate rundown of everything that I actually do use in my camera bag. Isn't that embarrassing? This stinking camera died on me. But thus is the nature with lives sometimes. Things really do be like that. I'm curious to know, what is some gear that you're potentially looking to purchase here in the future, or what is some gear that you're looking forward to, maybe that will come out by the end of the year. I am hopeful that Sony will release an A7 IV, because I'm an A7 III user. I love it. There are definitely a few things that I would love to see in the next version of this camera. And so I'm hopeful, and I haven't really heard any news about an A7 IV yet. But you never know. They could probably just drop it on us at any moment in time. So that is one that I've already decided, like, if it's on pre-sale and if it's around like $2,000-ish dollars, I'll probably pre-order. I'll sell my other camera, sell lenses, I'll sell my left arm for that camera. Okay. Do you think the A6400 is a good camera? It's a great camera. It's a great camera, especially if you get like some of those like Sigma lenses, like the 16 mil. I know a lot of people love that lens paired up with that camera. What inspires you the most currently in photo and video work? Great question, Ben Johnson. And by the way, if you ever have the pleasure to talk to Ben or address him, it's always Ben Johnson. You don't just say Ben. So what inspires me right now? Honestly, what motivates me? It's kind of like a, yeah. I mean, one of my biggest motivators right now to create is, yes, it is enjoyable. Like it is, and that's definitely some like creating, doing this type of stuff. It is enjoyable, but I also know that as I create more, there is more potential to. It's just gonna sound so like kind of weird and shallow, but like, you know, I have a family. Like I've got a wife and I've got a kid on the way, and so it's really motivated me to do more, to create more. Well, one, to it is satisfying, and like it's an important thing, and I know that it'll continue to be an important thing for me to create for myself, to do stuff, but also I feel like this is the future for me, like this form of online content creation. Like I would love for this to become my full-time job in the not so distant future, and so I have that goal in mind. The only way you're gonna like achieve your goals is first to have a goal, and then have a motivation behind why you want to achieve your goal. And so I want that to be my goal, because if I can do this full time, then I can take it wherever I need to go, and I can spend time with family, and I can do something that I genuinely love and enjoy. So I've had a lot of that on my mind, like the past 6 months, like five or 6 months, like, and but I'm very much a, like when I was in school, I was that kid, like it's an online assignment, it's due at midnight, like I'm the turn it in at 11:59, like pray to God that your internet doesn't cut out or that your upload speeds are good, because that is just that's just who I am. Can't really change it, unfortunately. But so all that to say, like now the pressure's on, but in a really good way. And so I'm really inspired by that. And I've really just enjoyed taking photos here lately. Like finding like lighting that's really awesome, just like totally fires me up. Like, and I don't know what it is, like just what's changed, but all of a sudden it's just like really, it's just like really sunk in. And yeah, so it's a lot of different stuff, but inspiration right now is like I'm inspired because I'm about to be a dad, and I'm motivated because I need to be motivated, because that's my duty, and that's what I feel like is my God-given purpose to do. So there you go. All right, we got heartfelt there. We went deep. We'll definitely continue answering a few more questions here. We've been going for an hour strong. Super appreciate all you being here. I'll mention, if you haven't already, like the video and subscribe to the channel. Win Lin, did you go to college for graphic design and photo editing? Are you self-taught? Can't wait to see your baby girl. Congratulations. Well, thanks again. Super appreciate it. So I did go to college, but I did not go for graphic design. In fact, I used to work with Ben Johnson back in the day, and we worked together at our old church, and I was an assistant to somebody. He was like the graphic video dude, and he started his own business. So then he left the job so he could start his own business, which is amazing. And so I was kind of there, and they're like, hey, we need somebody to do all this stuff, can you do that? And I'm like, I don't know how to do it, so give me some grace so I can learn. But then I just started learning about it because I was kind of just forced into it. And then that's how I got into the graphic design stuff. And then as far as video goes and like photography, honestly, again, like my friend Ben, like he gave me some opportunities to hang with him while he was starting his business, while he was doing creative projects and music videos, and I got to shoot some weddings with him. And I didn't have access to a camera, and he had cameras, so I was like, cool, I get to hang out with my friend and help him make stuff, and then I get to learn and use cameras. So that was like really how I got into it. So then that kind of was leading into, by the time I got to college, I had known a decent amount of like the basics of graphic design. I did technically take one graphic design class, but it was everything that I already knew. Like I already knew like that basic stuff, and then everything else though, I've been self-taught / YouTube university. Like you can learn anything on YouTube now, so if you ever want to learn a skill or a trade, like I feel like you can just do it on YouTube, and there's no excuse because there's so much information out there. There's no excuse as to like why you can't do something at this point. So yeah, I'll say too, like I am inspired by some pretty amazing people and on the graphic design side, just people who do some really incredible stuff. Like my all-time favorite is Dustin Cooper. Dustin Cooper Graphics, dude is just absolutely fire. All right, what else do we got here? Whoop whoop, A74 would be nice. You're right. Cristiano Ronaldo or Messi, who's your favorite player? Okay, so I've only recently gotten into, I'll call it football, even though it's soccer here in America. I've only recently gotten into it. Definitely during the Euros, I was all in on it. I work with a guy who's from England, and so just kind of like by osmosis, I just was like, oh, this is super dope. So anyway, I've gotten more into soccer, football here lately. And I know Messi just went over to PSG. And I got my buddy's opinion, so I'm not to say who's my favorite, but his opinion is that Ronaldo is like probably the hardest worker, and like obviously his body and stuff, dude's like a like a model, but Messi is like the most naturally gifted ball handler, scorer like that's ever been. So I'd probably land towards Messi because he's got some dope stuff. Amazing things that he's done. Ben was the graphic video dude. Yes. Yeah. YouTube University. So true. Yep. It's the truth, man. Like sometimes I don't know, that's just how I learn. Like when I get passionate about something, I'm like, cool, let me learn all this stuff about it. Or if I have questions on like how to pull off this effect, I'll research it. I'm definitely that kind of person, as opposed to like somebody, and I've worked with people like this, or I've had people asking me like, hey, like every 5 seconds, like, hey, how do you do this thing? Or like, how do you do that? How do you do that? It's like, just look it up. That's how I kind of am. I'm like, learn, if you really want to know, like do the research yourself, like find out how to make it work for you. But anyway, different styles. Not one's not right, one's not wrong. That's just kind of how I am. But all right, y'all, we have been at it for over an hour and 15 minutes here on this fantastic Friday. I do need to grab some breakfast because it's 9 o'clock here and I haven't eaten anything. I got to get some more coffee. Super appreciate you all. Again, if you want to help out, support me in any way, like the video, subscribe to the channel, check out the digital store. If you use the code 50 off, there's only 100 codes out there. If you use the code 50 off, you can get the entire Lightroom preset pack for 50% off. And yeah, check out some of the links below. And I hope that you all have an awesome day and a fantastic weekend. Love you guys. Till the next time. Jonathan, I'm sorry, bro. We're hopping off. Love you, bro. See you guys.